Bonnie is barely a tropical depression at this hour. I'm Mike Naso from IPR365.com with the Tropical Update, and the subject of this update is a very ill-defined tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this was what the Atlantic looked like on the 21st, and remember we had that strong tropical system, tropical wave, which moved over the Yucatan and really was ragged in appearance, and it then moved into Mexico. We had our system which became Bonnie sitting north of Hispaniola and a wave in the eastern Caribbean, and you can see how the last 72 hours or so these systems have progressed, with Bonnie moving over Florida into the Gulf, our tropical wave moving very sheared of course, but moving here near Jamaica, and the system now inland over Mexico still firing up thunderstorm activity. So we've been able to watch these three features the last several days, as one has progressed across the Caribbean, the other across Florida into the Gulf, and the other across the Yucatan into Mexico. So that generally gives you an idea of the pattern for systems to continue to move west-northwest. Right now, though, our main feature is Bonnie, and it's not much of one to even have to talk about, but of course it is a tropical system, so we will. Here's the latest as of 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. It was at 28.0 north, 86.7 west. Winds were 30 miles per hour, maybe gusting to 40, moving very quickly west-northwest at 17. The pressure way up there at about 1,014 millibars. We've had hurricanes with pressures well over 100 millibars lower, so you don't have to be worried about this system becoming a tropical storm again or a hurricane, because it's not forecast to. You can see later tonight, probably around 9, it's going to make landfall in Louisiana and then continue to move and slow down a bit. By Monday, only be entering Arkansas. So there will be a slowdown here, but how much rainfall it brings, as of yet, it's unknown. You can see the tropical storm advisories with those winds coming onshore around the system. It's really nothing to be concerned about. And if we take a look at where our oil spill is in the Gulf of Mexico, you can see there is definitely oil out there, and Bonnie is going to be moving straight over it. But because it's going to be hitting at low tide, and because it's such a weak, ill-defined tropical depression, don't expect too much damage from the oil along the coastline, at least nothing worse than what has already occurred a few weeks ago with Hurricane Alex. Again, Bonnie really has been the main feature out there, and if we take a look at the latest visible satellite imagery of the tropical cyclone, you can see there's the system, and it's sitting very clearly. See the circulation down there, thunderstorms to the north and east. The upper level low is now moving into Texas. 2 days ago it was over Grand Bahama Island, and it kind of just dragged Bonnie along with it on a track like that across South Florida. Florida, you got some heavy rainfall, but really nothing to be concerned about. It's pretty sad when a tropical thunderstorm area over Mexico looks better than our named system up here in the Gulf, but Bonnie definitely has been sheared. The infrared's even worse for Bonnie. You can see it looks horrible. In fact, I can't really remember many storms or depressions that were this weak and ill-defined without completely dying out. This one is going to be a race to see if it could actually make it into landfall as a depression. I think it will, but it's going to be a close call. It's that weak. Again, good thunderstorms blowing up here in the Bay of Campeche, but they're over land, and the environment's not all that favorable for them. Taking a look at the radar out of, say, Slidell, Louisiana, and actually I believe this radar is out of Mobile. You can see the circulation trying to turn there, and I say trying because it's trying everything it can to strengthen, but it's too unfavorable. We do have some very severe weather if you're in Triumph, Burris areas there, Pilot Town, Homa. You guys down here in Louisiana are going to get some severe weather from this tropical depression as it continues to take a track. It's probably going to come very close to Slidell, Pearl Town, the Pearl River rather, and areas like that. So you're not going to really have to deal with a definitive eye wall or anything like that. And most of the bad weather is away from the center, and where it isn't even that condensed. It's more sporadic at this time. Now, when we take a look at our hurricane season 2010 thus far, you can see we've had 3 systems. One almost became a tropical storm here in the Gulf of Mexico. We had 2 disturbances, one near the Gulf Coast, which almost became a depression, and one out in the eastern Atlantic, which almost became a depression. And I keep telling those folks who say this season is not going to be active, If those systems had all been named, we would have had Alex, Bonnie, Colin, Danielle, Earl. We'd be waiting on our F storm. So you can't, it's all a game of chance. Those systems could have just as easily developed as they just as easily did not. However, look at these tracks. Gulf of Mexico, west-northwest. Look at the way Alex took that track. Alex could have been in and out and not done a thing, but it bumped to the north and west-northwest and was able to stay over water. TD2 took that west-northwest turn, and Bonnie took a classic stair step. And I gotta tell you, Bonnie's so weak, nobody really cares about it, but it hit near Miami, and it's probably going to hit near New Orleans. Just imagine if this were a major hurricane, that type of track that we'd have to deal with, South Florida and Louisiana. Now, we've been there before with Andrew and Katrina, two of the worst hurricanes in our country's history. So, what else does this season have? We can't really tell. There's no way to tell what kind of tracks there will be. I'll definitely say there'll probably be a few Cape Verde storms that turn out, and a few that probably get caught behind. And we're probably going to have some Caribbean activity coming on up. In fact, the Canadian model shows something coming up out of the Caribbean as well as the no gaps. So we'll wait and see if that occurs. And I said this before for Texas, if ever there was a year where the setup's looking like you guys could get hit by a big hurricane in August or September, it might be this year, because you guys with the ridging have really been at risk here on the western Gulf Coast, and we'll see if that holds. Again, in late season, we'll probably get some storms coming out of here and taking tracks off to the northeast, impacting areas of the Caribbean. It looks like late season activity could be on the up and up this year. But still, who knows what's going to come. We might not have any storms hit the United States as a major hurricane at all. We might have 3. So there's no way to tell. You just got to stay posted. Right now off Africa, there is nothing to be concerned about. This wave is very weak, and it probably won't do anything as it moves west. But there could be one in about a week or so moving off that could become a Cape Verde hurricane. We'll watch for that. I'm Mike Naso from IPR. I'll see you next time.